Now these scientists have to be in millions, and you can produce such scientists in millions. I am told that Subhash Palekar has influenced about 4 million farmers in this part of India. Now we have learned from Subhash Palekar, we are introducing it in Sri Lanka. We already have about 532 organizations who are doing ecological agriculture of some type in Sri Lanka. Now we have begun to introduce this zero budget natural farming in the north and east, where the war is over. We are trying to train young people and others in that area to do natural farming. We are also promoting natural farming in the hill country, where there are tea plantations. Soil has got completely eroded, washed off. Therefore we have floods every rainy season. Now we are having earth slips. The hills are crumbling down. So now, therefore it's quite possible to restore and recover the whole of nature's contribution to human survival, to animal survival and survival of nature. It can be restored. Therefore it's essential for scientists, for scholars to begin to serve humankind and begin to serve nature by helping each other to support each other. The right relationship between human beings and nature have to be restored so that each enriches the other. Now all these years, all these centuries, we have been doing agriculture in a way that antagonizes each other. Human beings try to plunder, exploit, extract and destructively utilize nature's contribution. Thereby we have destroyed the capacity of nature to regenerate itself. Now unless nature has this capacity of regeneration fully, humankind cannot survive. It is this regeneration that keeps us going. So therefore it is the task for all scientists all over the world to begin to think anew. All these years they have been assisting their scientific contribution or technological contribution to help people to take away violently and aggressively more and more from nature without restoring its ability to regenerate. Now that's the wrong way to do it. That's a very destructive way of utilizing science, though we call it advancement and development. So now the world crisis has told us that you have to begin to think differently and in a very new way, and that's the only way that the world can survive. Now I would want to lastly say something to Via Campesina. Now Via Campesina is a global movement moving in the right direction, but it is not enough for us to preach. We have to prove this in practice. Now one farmer, Krishna, can illustrate how it could be done. 1 million farmers here in this part of India can convince their governments that agriculture should be done differently. Therefore, it is the responsibility of Via Campesina to teach this technique, to preach this technique, to get farmers to practically implement it on their own field so that this can be demonstrated. That is a big battle that we have to fight. By saying this, I am not saying that we don't need to be fighting against the destructive opponent. We have to fight. There is a huge process of land grabbing by big companies. The countries where land is already lacking or already utilized for other things, they are going into other countries grabbing more land to be converted to their profit-making process. We have to fight against this. The only people who have the moral right to utilize land, to control land, are the people who are regenerate the productivity of that land. If you are destroying that land, you don't have a right over that land. So that is the basic principle that we have to adopt. We have to prove this by application. We have to demonstrate it in practical ways. Therefore, the big task for Via Campesina is to develop methodologies, technologies to propagate this among not just few hundreds, but not even thousands, millions and millions of farmers. The ordinary farmers will very well understand it because it is their daily experience. And you have to give dignity to their thinking, you have to give dignity to their understanding, and that they are the recreators of the earth. Now there is an issue that is emerging all over. The younger people are not ready to get involved in agriculture because agriculture is such a degrading job. It's a non-remunerative job, so boring to do the type of agriculture that we do because we do it in the wrong way. So remedying it, correcting it, improving it, regenerating the earth is a big challenge. It's a big scientific challenge. It's a big philosophical challenge. Renewing the world is the task of young people. And if they learn this technique, they will be very interested in doing this. The governments don't have to pay these young people. Say for instance, in my country, where a farmer, a very small farmer, has half an acre of land or quarter of an acre of land, by adopting natural farming, he can produce, say, about 3,000 to 4,000 rupees a month, Sri Lankan rupees a month. That is about $30 a month. Improvement in his income. Now, if that family gets instruction from a young person and gives that instructor who visits them once a week or so at the beginning, just 300 rupees, and if that instructor works for 50 families, it's 15,000 rupees, which is quite a good remuneration, and it's a dignified job. He would be respected, and they are recreating the earth. Therefore, they will be happy. Therefore, the loss of interest among young people can be remedied by introducing the right type of agriculture, right type of tasks given over to young people. Women can do this very effectively. In my country and also in other countries, women are much more involved, are capable of doing ecological agriculture because some of their immediate problems are immediately solved. They get their food from their garden, they do their own agriculture, they have no capital to spend, they don't need capital, they just get free of charge food, and it's healthy food. They can feed their children, overcome malnutrition. So they are very interested. So therefore, women and young people should take leadership and give up this aggressive, destructive form of agriculture that is destroying the whole world.